Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are, whatever you're doing, and welcome to another episode of Big Decisions for Anfield Index. It's late at night, I appreciate that, but we're here to carry you through to bedtime. The main act, because apparently there was some rumour you had some nonsense with someone called Gags or something talking, so there's some real content for you now. And I'm delighted as ever to be joined by my old mucker, Trev Downey. It's been a while, sir. How are we?
I'm good, buddy. Yeah, it has been a while. You know, that's my first time being in the presence of that very patented opening of yours as well. I've never been in its live presence before, so that's nice. That's a nice first for me. Looking forward to this one because God knows there's enough to talk about and many big decisions to be made. You've picked out a few, so I'm looking forward to pulling them apart with you.
Yeah, but before we get into this, people, I get you all want 86,797 decisions to be made by Liverpool, FSG, Arne Slot, and everything like that. But it's just three as ever we're going to narrow it down to. And we'll start, Trev, with in a season of darkness that hasn't gone how anyone has wanted it so far. There has been a beacon of hope, let's call it that. Almost like if this had been modern era or go back to the 80s, Princess Leia would probably have said, "Help me, Dominik Szoboszlai, you are my only hope." I mean, the way it's worked so far, 99% of the players have been terrible this season, but not Dominik Szoboszlai, eh?
Yeah, I don't know if it's papered over an awful lot of cracks. And when you think sometimes about the early games where we were winning late, and he's responsible for one of those narrow wins with a piece of magic, and he's got his assists there as well. And it just makes you wonder because we spoke, you and I, a lot about how the midfield was not functioning as with Wirtz in there. It wasn't really a functioning thing in any way, shape, or form. And the reason is obvious. And when we took Dom out to do a job at right back brilliantly, it was even worse. So it is lovely to see him operating where he's best. But, you know, clearly it would be helpful if some other people were operating at their best alongside him. And I do feel, I'll be honest with you, I do feel that even if he hadn't been as stellar as he has, and I don't mean goals and assists, we're talking about a guy here whose engine is central to Liverpool doing anything good ever. And if he had not been pulling up trees in that regard this season, and even over the last few games, imagine how much worse things may have gone. I think people really need to get their heads around that because he is everywhere all at once, like that movie. He's covering back, he's making interceptions, he's blocking passing lanes, he's involved in our creative work. An absolutely wonderful footballer operating at his best, and you just really hope that some of them are going to give him a dig out over the next few weeks, and that the manager understands how best to use the resources around Dom, because he's the thing making us tick, Dave.
Yes, he's central to everything. I love the way you put that as well. He is literally digging up trees at the moment. And there's some good stuff going around in the analysis of him. So I know Sam Maguire wrote this. So shout out to that saying he's the best midfielder in Europe, the main man for this Liverpool team in transition. And you talked about it as well, Trev. I mean, for Christ's sake, right back in the double pivot, now restored into the 10 and, you know, the press from the front. But even just the things that Sam wrote about, which is true, the way he's facilitated Salah and Wirtz this season, it tends to be when they've shone or when they've played well, he is absolutely central. So you're right, everyone else is getting criticised, but the numbers he's pulling up in all areas. And there's a nice line in this about a little bit of justifying Jurgen Klopp and shows how good a move that was. And one of the things I did want to sort of allude to there is the way he's moved back into that 10 in the press. And Klopp always talked about the best attack is that counter press, isn't it? And returning the ball over quickly up high. It's no coincidence, and we'll take the City shit show out of it. But the recent games when it's been good, Dominik Szoboszlai pressing from the front, crucial.
Yeah, and it's a real throwback to the Klopp era and the whole sort of introduction to us of Gegen pressing and all that stuff that was so exciting in the early days of Klopp and became such a feature of every Klopp team. And I am the last person to start getting misty-eyed about Jurgen. I'll be honest with you. It kind of sticks in my craw, all this. Clearly, the man had such a massive impact on people that he was either their surrogate daddy or their surrogate brother or their surrogate friend. And I get all that. I do. And he's a massive personality and hugely positive influence on our football club. But if an era is over, living in it constantly is of zero help. In fact, it's a hindrance. The thing about Dominik is that his form and his method of playing the game is such a throwback to that Klopp era, ironically, because, you know, he's not a Klopp player, but he has that kind of just constant energy, constant drive, and married to an ability. So we used to see Sadio Mane put in a remarkable shift, but he was a wonderful baller. You'd see Bobby Firmino put in a remarkable shift. But again, incredibly silken skills. And that combo is really important. But at the moment, if we're being honest, it's not his creative play. It's not even his progressive play from the back when he's right back. It's the fact that he gets around and gets involved in everything. All the dirty work, all the bits. Did you see the article, Dave? I saw it today, so I don't know when it came out, but I read it. It was an interview with Ox, and he was talking about his time at Liverpool under Klopp.
Oh, brilliant. Yeah.
Great, right? And his thing was that Klopp gave him this renewed appreciation for making blocks and making interceptions and chasing down things and winning throw-ins high up the park. And he was celebrating like a lunatic on the sideline. And it just reminded me that players are still human and they're still very, very open to the positive side of praise and reinforcement. And, you know, and if anyone embodies that attitude in our team at the moment, it is Dom Szoboszlai.
It's just, and you talk about all the things off the ball, on the ball. And if you are one of our famous nerds or you're into your stats, tell you what, people, it might just be time to get your tissues ready a little bit, because look at this for some. And shout out to our Hungarian counterpart, Jimmy, with this. But, I mean, you can see there, Trev, you don't need to be a stat nerd to see. That's a lot of green. That's a lot of 90 percentile plus in anything. But this is one that's just worth calling around, as they call it, the threat in the final third, or the turnover rate high up, 100th percentile, i.e., there is no one better than Dominik Szoboszlai right now. And I mean, those stats come into the mix. Even as you talked about, you can sometimes, you know, goals and assists don't tell a full picture. But the fact he's got 7 goals and assists already from a guy who's been right back at times this season as well. And you think about that unbelievable free kick as well against Arsenal. I mean, your eyes tell you it. The stats tell you it as well. There's just no real fault in his game right now.
Even for a guy like me who is deliberately, not because of a lack of understanding, but through choice, I want you all to understand that, is comparative statistical Luddite. I don't care enough. I'm sorry. I love all of you guys who work with our channel, but it doesn't do the thing for me that it does for other people. But this guy crunches numbers, and I again, I'm a bit Martin O'Neill. XG, what's that? You know, I do kind of like. I find myself nodding along, but you know, as you said, in every appreciable metric, it's there for you to see. But the eye test is the one, and it's the one that, let's be honest, it's the one that Dirk Kuyt used to tick the boxes in for people as well. That level of effort has been sadly lacking in so many of our top players.
Yeah.
And that's a terrible, Jesus Christ, that's a terrible indictment of,
yeah,
right? It's that in no way is that okay. That he is the paragon that we have to look up to. He's the only one. Now, I'm not saying he's the only good performer. I think Curtis has had good spells. Virgil has been solid. The keeper, well, Ali has been good. I think Mamardashvili's finding his way in. Outside of those, though, in terms of people who are really impacting the play on the pitch and playing in every game, the rest of them don't hold a candle in terms just of that one metric of however you want to assess it, whether it's yards run or presses or interceptions or whatever it happens to be. Nobody's touching Dom, and that's not okay.
Yeah, it probably does look around at times. There's a bit of you when you're watching, you think, is he just going to snap at some point and just go like, anyone, like, please just give me a bit of something. So, yeah, it's just as good as he's been. We've got to factor that in, people, how bad the others have been across the board largely. In terms of the longer term, this is a bit of sexy stuff we like to see, especially because we go on the transfer show and talk about contracts and things. So there's been suggestions for, our good friend Fabrizio was at it there. And Liverpool have started talks with him, trying to get that deal done. I mean, a couple of things are easy to say. Of course, we want it done. Of course, we want it extended. 25 at his peak. All the, you've seen the links with Real City, and let's just call those carefully placed agent talk as well, but doing the good job for his client, of course. In terms of this, though, this might not be the easiest negotiation, may it, Trev? Because Salah, Virgil, massive renewal money, so that put the bar a little higher. We know, as we've said before, Gakpo got his deal renewed, and suggestions are that, as we said on the transfer show, around 225k we're talking for Gakpo. So when Szoboszlai and his agent rock up to the table, I know you can say apples and oranges, but he'll be looking and going, well, I'm more valuable to the team than Cody. You're putting these guys on astronomical funds. Get me up there. This might not be straightforward, might it?
I don't see how it's straightforward at all. Now, you've got a couple of things at play here, and I know you're probably going to introduce it, but of course, you had to do a solo transfer show. Very interesting. I listened to it there, I think, yesterday and really enjoyed it. It was either yesterday or this evening. Like, everything mixes up with me. Really enjoyed the show and the talk about the various contract situations. And it's not a coincidence, is it, that there are stories doing the rounds now about Dom and Real and Dom and Barca and Dom and Bayern, or whoever you want to hear. But I have heard the Real ones twice. Yeah. And of course, they're going to be out there. And people, every time, Dave, they get taken by surprise by this stuff. When it's clearly plants in the media, quite often by agents, you understand why they're doing it. You understand that. And by the way, they're correct to do it. Their job is to get whatever they can for their player. Now, here's the phrase I've been hearing from several people, and I've been using it myself in relation to Szoboszlai. You watch him this season, you bear in mind Virgil's age. Captain in waiting is the phrase that I keep hearing. Now, if he buys into that and the club buy into that, there may be some way that there could be a financial sort of staggered thing arranged that he will, see more money and at a slightly later date or something like that. I'm not sure if they can really do work contracts like that.
Yeah.
But I don't see how we don't do the deal. And I couldn't agree with you more, because we've gone out of our way. And by the way, Isak's not on small money either. So because we've gone out of our way to settle up with the two boys, like you said, dead right. They've set the bar, and the bar set high. And if you got your best performing footballer by a country mile, the captain of his country from a very young age, and like I said, a captain in waiting written all over him for Liverpool Football Club, you better pay that guy. So there's so much business to be done, Dave, that what people aren't going to want to hear is, I guess there are going to have to be more outgoings to fund some of this. No one wants to talk about that.
No, yeah, it's funny, you're right. And as I mentioned the players, I mentioned the existing players and what we renewed. You're right to call it as well. Isak came in, Wirtz came in. Like, these didn't come in for a packet of Lambert and Butler and a few refresher bars. These are on top money, these boys. So the bars just nudged up all the time. And you're right to talk about the captain element, because people will say, oh, well, others, but vice captain, you expect, probably there's going to be a departure there, and Robbo will get into that shortly. There's question marks around a great majority of that leadership group and who might step into it as well. I like captain in waiting. I suppose the final thing on this, because I don't mind waxing lyrical because it's nice to have a bit of positivity in the season that's been pretty dour so far. But right now, this is a big cut because we've got some big stars still in our team, no matter what's happened this season. Is he the first name on the team sheet right now?
If everyone's fit and Arne Slot has a brain in his head, if everyone's fit, Alison Becker's the first name on the team sheet because he's a difference maker in the area that we need to make a difference in badly, because we're conceding goals at a rate that's totally unacceptable. Just totally unacceptable. The results are, over a long period of time now, totally unacceptable. They're there for everyone to see. Just watch them. Look at the percentages of defeats in away games. Look at the overall points taken in say, even just look at the calendar year of 2025 when the league was won. It's not good enough. However, if you're talking about someone who has an all-round impact on the team and can do great work defensively and help us in attack, yeah, I mean, it's saying something, man, that he's ahead of Virgil, who's been solid, and he's obviously ahead of Mo Salah by a country mile. He's ahead of a big name signing like Florian Wirtz, and he really is. He really is. He's like, you're right. He is the first name on the team sheet because of everything that he offers to the team. And does that not tell you all you need to know when it comes to contract talks as well? Him and his agent could pull our pants right down, and we'll have to say thank you, sir.
Yeah, we will be the receivers in this situation. Yeah, exactly that. So, but there you go, people. If there's any doubt, Dominik Szoboszlai is world class. And by the way, if you're watching this back and you are one of our archetypal nerds like Bart's, probably just want the angina sprays ready for when we show the graphs and all the green on the charts and the numbers. So we'll give you that preparation ready.